Hello, fellow traders. 'Tis I, TheRumpledOne, coming to you on Tuesday, November the 19th. The year is 2024. Let's talk trading. Trading with Walmal. These videos are for educational purposes only. Your results may differ from mine and different from Walmal's. And as always, have your risk management in place. Never lose more than you're willing to lose on any one single trade. Now, Walmal, we haven't done one of these trading videos in a while, and we were trading this morning, and I think each of us had to trade our way out of a mess.
Yeah, I know I did. I assume you did as well. Just, and that's part of trading. Sometimes that's what happens. And, there's lots of ways to trade your way out of a mess. You can just take it on the chin. That's one possibility. Sometimes that's the better way to do it. Other times it's time to go and maybe average and get a better price, as they say, and so that you're able to go and hopefully make it get back to break even a little bit more, which is what I tend to do. That's my strategy. Or you just let it ride and wait, knowing that it more than likely will probably come back, and that's a strategy as well. As long as you're within, again, risk management. As long as you're going and managing your risk, there's nothing wrong with that. As long as you can go and, survive the amount that you're going to be underwater, and when I say survive it, I mean not only that your account survives it, but you're able to go, and we haven't talked about the psychology of trading really that much in a long time, but, survive it emotionally, because, it is draining. You're sitting there, you're down, a bunch of pips, maybe more pips than you really want to be down, but you're still within your limits. That can go and affect the way that you go and you trade, because what can happen is you're afraid to pull the trigger the next time, or you get greedy because you're going to revenge back because of the amount that you lost. So you got to be very careful of that. You got to know yourself.
It's interesting you say that. I read or was watching this video from this trader that I guess he's one of those successful traders on the internet. And he said the first thing you have to do is find an edge. And then the second thing you have to do, he goes, you don't worry about the profits. He goes, you just make sure your losses don't get out of hand. He goes, and he was almost saying, you don't even worry about the psychology. It's just seems like it's just all about executing your plan, because he says you manage the losses, and you'll get your wins, and next thing you know, you're making money. Because
I think.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I thought you were done. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Go ahead.
And I would agree with that, and that is a way to go and manage your emotion, because if you're, what that fellow is saying. You said, you know what, I'm just going to go and put that aside. I'm just going to, I don't want to go and say stick your head in the sand, but at the same time, I'm not going to worry about that, because I know that in the long run, that works out as long as I have an edge. It's, it's sort of like, in Vegas, they're not worrying about you winning $15, $20, $30, whatever it may be, or even you winning at 10 times over. Because they know in the long run, there's going to be another guy that's going to be sitting right next to you that's probably going to go and lose, and now at the same time, you got to go and remember that Vegas is also going to go and say, okay, this guy is clearly counting cards over here in an illegal way, and he's consistently winning, and he's winning bigger and bigger and bigger, and we need to put an end to that.
Right.
And they will put an end to that. And that's what I'm talking about. What I'm saying is that trade what you got to trade, and and sometimes it's going to work, sometimes it's not. And if you have an edge, more times than not, it's going to work. Excuse me. And I think that fellow is saying as well.
Yeah.
I don't think that guy is going and saying, just let it be and let it run, and let it run against you. I don't think he's saying that. More of, okay, take your loss, and so what? You got to go and, you got to be able to go and you say you got to take the loss. And I had a fellow tell me once, in terms of trading, what you should be trading and what you're willing to risk is how much cash are you willing to go and light up in the middle of the street and think it's funny. Okay.
Yeah.
That's it. And there's some truth to that. Not how much your account can sustain, because those are two different numbers.
Mm-hmm.
If I got an account of, let's say I got an account of $1,000, okay, and my rules say that I'm willing to go and lose, 2% a day. Okay, so that means I'm willing to go and take a loss of $200, right?
No, 10% a day.
But I'm sorry, $20.
Right.
I'm willing to take a loss of $20. Okay, and that may be so, but some other person sitting there with a loss of $20 can say, "Yeah, my account can sustain it, but I personally can't sustain it emotionally." And we need to jump over the hump and just say, "Hey, that's just part of trading. It's what's going to happen," and just go and be willing to go and take that hit on the chin.
Yeah. Oh, and right before the video, you were saying, "Hey, did you see what it did down at the bottom?" What were you going to say? Because I thought that might be interesting.
Well, one of the things I've been talking to TRO a lot about this lately, about how much those H4 lines are so well respected, and what price tends to do is it likes to go run a particular direction away from a H4 line. Meaning, when I say an H4 line, I'll define that as the open of an H4 candle. Okay, it runs away from it in a particular direction, and then it likes to usually towards the end of the run towards it, run away from it, or towards the end of the candle life. So 3 hours and 30 minutes in, or something like that. It likes to try to run back to the open. Most times it doesn't get to it, but it makes a run back to it. And then I was just saying to him earlier that, it's one of those things where it can be a reason to get yourself out of a trade or not to get into a trade if you see something developing, just knowing that that's a tendency of this particular instrument. Other instruments may not be the same. As they say, your mileage may vary, but with the pound dollar, pound dollar, that's what happens all the time. And what was interesting was it was about 6 minutes late, but what happened here was it ran down, and it ran all the way down to the H4 open of the previous H4 open, because we had a brand new H4 on the open of this particular hour. We had a brand new H4 put in, and what happened was it ran down all the way down right to the point, and it just hit that point, bounced off of it, violently, and I say violently because we don't have these big moves, like this very often, and it ran all the way back up from basically 27 area, 24 area, all the way up to 50, and not 24. I'm sorry, 27, 28 area. And so it ran all the way back up to above the 50. And it was sort of like, I had walked away from my desk at the time, and I came back and I said, well, that was, a pretty incredible move, but it was also something that's kind of expected because, the market moved down there and got there late, but that's what it likes to do. Yeah. And it loves to get there and just bounce right off of it.
Yeah, and speaking of that, another thing it likes to do, and I think I did a video on this a long time ago. It likes to cover the previous M30, and that's what it did.
Yep, exactly.
And the thing is, I had gone long. I took this signal right here, the higher, high, lower, low, close signal, where it was coming off a dynamic support, and it made a lower low, but then it had made a higher close. So I went long, and as you can see what happened, I was down. Well, then I took another trade somewhere right about here on the 30. I think it was somewhere here. and I had gotten a signal to go long again, and then it was like time to make the video. So I just put my TP right at 39, and then so it came screaming back right before I started showing the video. So the market smiled upon me. But what one of the things I was doing with this method here, you can see how many times it gives a signal. It's not a lot of signals, but it's almost like if you take every one, you can get out. Now, I don't just take the signal blindly. I believe here, I don't remember if it was putting in a 3-ball or a 2-ball, but it has to put in at least a 2-ball before I usually start taking that signal. And so here, this, down here, this was a 3-ball. You take the signal, you took a little heat, but then boom, you were rewarded nicely. And then here you got the opposite signal, but the last touch was a 3-ball, so you ignore the short signals, and here you could picked up another long. And so sometimes you can take it dynamically, meaning before the candle closes, or you let the candle close and then you take the signal. In this case, either way, it would have worked out. So right now you've got a 3-ball at the top being put in. So now I would ignore the buy signals and look for the shorts. Walmal, you in a trade?
No, I'm not. I was just actually moving my charts around so I could see what you were talking about.
Oh yeah, and now we've got the bottom of the hour, so this should be interesting. The next few, and we're 17 pips below the daily open now, 19, and 16 above the H4 open. So got a little conflict there, and only 76 pips on the day.
We're in an area right now that it's challenged this area before, and it bounced off this area on the 1-minute chart anyway. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 candles in a row just kept on bouncing off of this area. It's now been rejected again, so it'll be interesting to see if this area can be broken, because if it does, then I think we're in for another green day. But it's be interesting to see if we can break this 53 to 54 area.
Yeah, and so
it broke it, but it didn't stay above it.
Yeah, we broke that previous M30 high right there too.
And also, just so folks know, what's interesting also is that right where we're at, or pretty close to, it's a little bit above this, is the open from Friday. And so that may be some of the reason why it keeps on bouncing on this area. Don't know, but it's just interesting. And that was a big, if you remember, that Friday candle was a big gap down day.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, there was a gap of, I don't know, when I said big.
Oh, yeah, I see it, yeah. I think.
Yeah, it's a gap down, at least on my charts anyway, it's a gap down of about 15 pips. Excuse me. Now, it got filled, but it's just because it gets filled doesn't mean there's not any significance to it, because there's still some significance there. It just may not be nearly as significant as it was in the past.
Yeah, and I had that signal right here. So if you're taking that trade, you'd probably be up about 2 pips right now, that short. And you know what? The fastest 15 minutes in trading is just about over. So, fellow traders, hope you're having a good week so far, good month so far, good year. And as always, I just want to remind you, always remember, never forget, it's not what you trade, it's how you trade it. So go out there and drain the banks. This is the Rumpled One, over and out.